What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We've had 6 straight winning days on the NBA. We've got a record of 17-5 on these free picks that I've given out on YouTube. I wanted to wish you all a happy new year. I think all of us around the world have entered into 2025. To fire up that comment section, I do ask that you let me know. What are the goals that you want to achieve in 2025? Your financial goals, your betting goals, whatever it may be. Let me know what inspires you. Let's put it out in the universe and make it happen. Now, I've got 4 bets that I want to share with you today on this wonderful slate on the NBA. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into today's picks, we have to hold ourselves accountable for the day that was. I shared 3 bets with you guys yesterday. We went 2-1. The one that we did lose, we happened to get hooked on. But overall, another winning day. VIP cashed out once again. 6.98 units on VIP. I went pretty light, if I'm being honest with you guys, but that 6.98 units took us to 96.8 units on the NBA season. Absolutely astonishing stuff right now. Here's a recap on the day. I went 6-2 in our straight bets, 3.78 units profit there. Let's get through our losers. Giannis, took him over 35.5 points and assists. Now, that game was really early. When I woke up, it was already halftime, and I checked the box score. My man had 4 points, and I was like, oh, what have I done? What a terrible way to start the day. And then, I didn't panic. My man turned into an absolute beast in the second half. Played that well enough. We got to 35 points and assists. Missed a whole lot of free throws in typical Giannis fashion. We fell short on that one. But I honestly didn't hate that bet. The read made sense. What he did in the second half is what I expected him to do the whole game. But he ran into some foul trouble. What can you do? The other bet that I did lose on was Dante DiVincenzo. Over 2.5 3-pointers made up against OKC. He was 2 from 7. He played 29 minutes. He had the opportunities. He just didn't shoot very well. So the 2 losing bets that I had on the day, I honestly didn't hate too much. But we did cash out a lot of winners. Let's talk about it. I ran it back with Jarrett Allen over 9.5 rebounds. Man cashed out against the Lakers. Absolutely ate them alive. Jarrett Allen was actually the guy that made us the most money today. You'll see in a second. Scotty Barnes under 7.5 assists. I said that'll move to 6.5, and it did. But he went well under that as well. Blowout loss to the Boston Celtics. Took Bradley Beal under 29.5 PRA. And that was a little bit lucky given he got injured after the first quarter. But you got to remember all those times because there's going to be a time where we lose bets because of injuries. It goes both ways. Evan Mobley over 16.5 points. I told you guys I'd take him all the way up to 20. He finishes on 20 points. Julius Randle over 11.5 rebounds and assists. Finished right on 12. Barely got any time in that fourth quarter. I don't know if he got injured or not. I wasn't watching that game, but we did cash it out there. And Isaiah Hartenstein double-double. That cash for us as well. Some value plays. We had a Scotty Barnes value play, a Jarrett Allen value play. Well, actually 2 of those suckers. One for 190, one other one for plus 850. And then we obviously doubled them up together. Made 1.57 units profit. Let me show you guys what I sent to VIP today. 21 bets in total, 6.98 units profit. These are the different types of plays. So we had value plays, 2.9 units profit, straight player props, 3.7. We even hit one of those doubles combos, so we got 1.2 units profit. Our high value singles didn't cash for the day, but overall, pretty good. This is our best play of the day. Took Jarrett Allen over 16.5 points, 13 plus rebounds, turned $25 into $237. We also took Jarrett Allen over his points, over his rebounds, turned $50 into $145. So Jarrett Allen made me a ton of money today. We had Scotty Barnes, took his under assists, we took his under in points, $50 into $160. And then we ran a doubles combo. If Giannis had gotten one more assist, we would have cashed this whole thing out, but it didn't happen. We're running a doubles combo in this one, which is a round robin. We just need 2 of these plays to land for us, and we did $75 into $232. So pretty profitable day for VIP. If you're interested in joining VIP and you're somebody who bets on the NBA every single day, my season pass is the way to go. A ton of you guys have jumped on that already, and it's gotten off to a wonderful start over the last couple of days. 96 units profit on the NBA so far this season. Based on how things are looking, I'd love to get to 200, but use the code 2025 to get 25% off. The link for that's in the video description below. But if you just want to trial out VIP to see if this type of thing is your thing, I encourage you guys to check out BETR and BOOM Fantasy. If you download that, sign up, deposit $10, send me an email, and then I'll get you into VIP on a month's trial. I'll also put you into the draw to win $100 once we hit 50 referrals. I think we're almost there. I think we're at 35 or 36 referrals. So check it out. Boom or better. The links for those and my codes are in the video description below. Now let's get into these picks, shall we? Let's go. Before we get to these bets, we have to show respect to Props Madness real quick, because Props Madness is the best app in the game, or website in the game, for NBA player props. I use it religiously every single day. All your favorite cappers are too. Go ahead and check it out. 7-day free trial in the video description below. Plus, you'll get 25% off when you sign up with the code DAFT. Once you figure this out, it's going to change the whole game. I'll tell you that. Now, what bets do we have for the day? I'll take you through the 4 bets, but I'll also take you through some of my insights on the other games today, give you guys a little bit more value. The first bet I'm looking at is in the Orlando Magic versus the Detroit Pistons game, and running it back with a Hall of Famer of Daft previews. We're looking at Goga Bitadze in this one. And Goga, bet this guy so many times this year. He's rarely let me down. And we're looking at his rebounds here. Now, this is pretty much a system play at this point. Goga playing a ton of minutes. This Orlando Magic team just dealing with a ton of injuries at the moment. In games we're looking at here is without Paolo, without Franz, and more recently without Mo Wagner. We can see that he's covered this in 3 out of 4 games. But in these games, playing a ton of minutes. He's played 30-plus minutes in 3 out of the 4 games. The one game where he only played 21 minutes was against Boston, which is a terrible matchup, who play 5 out on offense. And it was also a game where Goga got ejected, so he didn't see the time, still finished with 9 rebounds. So looking at a bigger sample of just the games without Banchero, without Franz, Goga's killing it. 8 out of 9 games, he's gone over. Hit this line of 9.5 rebounds in 88% of them, averaging 12.1 rebounds per game. Now, he is up against the Detroit Pistons today. Being honest with you, this matchup against Detroit, it's not the easiest one, but we've seen him cover this line in difficult matchups. He's had to play the Milwaukee Bucks, who have a strong rebounding team. They've got Brook Lopez, who likes to play on the perimeter, so he's not necessarily in the best position. He's made it happen. He's had 2 games against the New York Knicks. Karl-Anthony Towns, very much the same. Plays on the perimeter, high usage rate on offense. All those things make it difficult to get boards, and Goga's made it happen before. Now, Goga's going to be doing what? Following Jalen Duren around, Isaiah Stewart. I can't see how he does. Well, I can see how he doesn't get here. This is what the risk is, right? The Detroit Pistons play at a very slow pace. The pace is not there. They also have Cade Cunningham, who does a lot of attacking in that pick and roll setting, which means if he ever sees Goga Bitadze in his vicinity, he's probably going to attack him. So if he's looking to score or over and around Goga, that might make it difficult for him to get boards. As a big guy, I think foul trouble is always a risk that you need to factor in. But at 9.5, I don't really care what the matchup is. If Goga's going to play 28 to 30 minutes in this, book me in for him to get 10 rebounds. This Orlando Magic team doesn't have many others who are going to get boards. Wendell Carter Jr. has been relegated to the bench, so they're probably not going to stack minutes together. They're going to try to split them. So Goga Bitadze, that's my man. Dark Previews Hall of Famer. I like him for 10-plus rebounds today. For my next pick, we're heading over to the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Miami Heat. And in this game, we're going with DeJounte Murray here. DeJounte Murray, and I like his assists. I'm taking him for over 7.5 assists today. Now, if you looked at his season, you'd see he's only hit this in 9 out of 16 games. So where do you think the edge is? He is averaging 7.5. So in good games, he's killed it. In others, he hasn't. And I think he's got a good game here today against the Miami Heat. Now, one filter I want to play with is just to make sure we remove Brandon Ingram from the equation. I don't even know if DeJounte Murray knows who Zion Williamson is. He hasn't played a game with him yet. But without Brandon Ingram, suddenly this hit rate gets a little bit better. 8 out of 13, averaging 7.8 assists. But why the Miami Heat? Miami are meant to be a pretty good defensive team, right? And they're okay. Top 11 in the league in defensive rating. The reason why I love this bet here for DeJounte Murray is if I go through all of these games that he's played without Brandon Ingram, what I notice is that most of the matchups he's had have been pretty difficult to get the assists, but yet he still managed to hit them at a 61% hit rate. In fact, if I look at the assists allowed filter, what this tells me is that he, throughout all of these games, he's pretty much had, 2 really soft matchups throughout it. And that was against Atlanta, 7th most assists allowed. He had 10 assists. And against Denver, who allowed the most assists, he had 15. So he's up against Miami today, who allowed the 12th most assists. So it's not as easy. But if you factor in that he's managed to cover this in really difficult matchups, the Rockets, fewest assists allowed, he had 8. The Grizzlies, 9th fewest assists allowed, he had 9. The Clippers, 6th fewest assists, he had 8. Even the San Antonio Spurs, 7th fewest assists, he had 11. So this man's been cooking, even in difficult matchups. Knowing that he's got one of the softest matchups he's seen in quite some time, I do like the opportunity here to go over. The other thing I like about this for DeJounte Murray is that he has a difficult matchup to score some points. If we look at his points prop, it's at 17.5. I actually do like him to go under his points prop if you want to get risky with it. But even if we just look at his scoring profile, he scores in the pick and roll. Miami, 9th fewest points in the pick and roll. Transition, 5th fewest points in transition. Once it gets to the free throw line, 3rd fewest free throws allowed. The only weak spot Miami has in their defense is around spot-up shooters. And DeJounte is not going to be doing the spot-up shooting. He's going to be the person passing to spot-up shooters. So I did think about taking Trey Murphy because he's been scoring out of his mind, but so has CJ. So knowing that there's 2, even Jordan Hawkins off the bench, 3 real great spot-up shooting threats here for the New Orleans Pelicans, I love this whole mix here for DeJounte Murray. He's got a great matchup to get assists. He's got 3 players on his team who can take advantage on offense, and he's got a very difficult matchup himself to score. So how does my man get involved? He's going to get to diamond up. So I do like his over 7.5 assists. Now heading into the next one, we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks versus the Denver Nuggets. And in this one, I do like a couple of players, but the main one I'll talk through today, Trae Young. Now, this has been somewhat of a system play for Trae Young. Looking at his assist prop here, that line's at 11.5. I apologize, my voice is gone. I'm still sick as a dog, but we're going to push through. Now, Trae Young's hit this in 14 out of 27 games this season, averaging 12.3 assists per game. Let's break this thing down. I've got a couple of filters I want to put in place. And the first one is making sure that we're looking at games with Jalen Johnson in there. We also want to look at the softer matchup. So we know the Denver Nuggets allow the most assists in the league. Let's take a look at the games against the bottom 10 teams with assists allowed because we've got a big enough sample size now. Let's take a look at this. With Jalen Johnson against the bottom 10 teams in the league in assists allowed, Trae Young's over this line in 10 out of 12 games, averaging 13.5 assists. Now, he's already played the Denver Nuggets this season, but they don't show up on this list. Why is that? And that's because the last time he played the Denver Nuggets, no Jalen Johnson in this game. In this game, he had 27 potential assists, but only finished with 10. Now, the reason why I applied the Jalen Johnson filter in this one is he wasn't playing in this game. So I wanted to show you how good it is when he plays. But Jalen Johnson is his favorite target. I looked into his passing dashboard on NBA.com. And his connection with Jalen Johnson gives him 3 assists per game. And whilst he does have a lot of other favorite targets in Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, and even Okongwu, nothing beats his connection with Jalen Johnson. That's 3 assists per game. You can almost lock in just because Jalen Johnson is there. If I apply the same type of hood math to this, he had 27 potentials, no Jalen Johnson. If we wanted to, I wonder what it looks like if I look at potential assists and we look at the games where he's had at least 27 potential assists. Jeez, okay. That's a crazy hit rate. 85% hit rate, but 27 might be a little bit too high because we're asking for the same thing. Games where he's had 20 potential assists with Jalen Johnson, he's over this line in 13 out of 16. It all looks great. So Jalen Johnson being there is fantastic. The matchup is fantastic here for Trae Young. And I think this is probably going to be a popular play on the day. It's a pretty easy one. Denver, everyone knows that they give up a ton of assists now. And everybody knows Trae Young, he gives up a lot of assists himself. So the question is, what happens if this line moves to 12.5? Because I think it will. I would take this at 12.5, but only if you're getting it this at plus money. So if you're getting it at 12.5 at like minus 10 or whatever it is, I'd probably stay away from it. You don't necessarily have an edge, even though I think he's going to hit it. If it moves to 12.5, I'd take it only at plus money. I'm rolling with 11.5 here. Sent it out to VIP a very long time ago, so hopefully they copped it at 11.5 as well. Now, heading into the last game, 76ers versus the Kings. The play that I'm taking here today is Tyrese Maxey. So for Tyrese Maxey, I'm taking him for over 26.5 points in this game. Probably be at 27.5, 28.5 is probably the highest I would go with this one. But what's my whole thought process here with Tyrese Maxey? Because if you look at his numbers on the season, everything's out of whack. 9 out of 24 games, averaging 25.9 points per game. There's no Joel Embiid, so that helps us. So if we look at the games without Joel Embiid, he's only over this in 6 out of 16 games, averaging 26.4 points per game. So that doesn't necessarily help us too much. Now, one thing I like to zone in on here on Props Madness using these filters is this matchup, because up against the Kings, he has a wonderful matchup to get some points here. Let me show you. So as a pick and roll ball handler, which is 28% of his points, the Kings bottom 8 in the league. If we look at his scoring zones, 40% of his points come from above the break. The Sacramento Kings, one of the worst teams in the league, 4th most points above the break this season. The Kings recently fired their coach, Doug Christie, is the interim head coach. They still look terrible. They are in shambles. Their defense is awful. And I think Tyrese Maxey can take advantage of that. So this matchup is wonderful. So if we look at games without Joel Embiid, where Tyrese Maxey has a similar type of matchup, we're talking about teams who give up points in the pick and roll, but teams that also give up points above the break. Take a look at this. So in these games, now we've got a 6-game sample. He's over in 4 out of the 6, averaging 29.7 points per game. The 2 games that he went under, Charlotte and Milwaukee. Against this Milwaukee team, 10 from 31. He shot 32% from the field. The volume was there, just didn't shoot very well. And then against the Charlotte Hornets, what did we see? 5 from 16, 1 from 7 from deep. Another awful shooting percentage. Only finishes with 21. I like the volume here. I think Tyrese Maxey, we've seen it in a lot of these games. 20 plus shots he's taking, I think. 20 plus shots he's going to see. And if we look at the games where he's taken 20 plus shots without Joel Embiid in the lineup, 20 plus shots without Embiid, he's over in 6 out of 9, averaging 32.4. So I think the ceiling for this bet is sky high, which is why I'm taking it at 26.5, but I'd also take it at 27.5, 28.5, because I don't think this is probably one where he gets close. I think there's a real opportunity for him to blow this out of the water today. I'm going to take a ton of volume in a great matchup. The main thing that we need to see here from Tyrese Maxey is a decent shooting percentage, because we know he can go 10 for 30. But the thing is, he'll take 30 shots, and I do like that. I think this is a great volume play here for Maxey. There's no Embiid. Obviously, McCain's gone. They do have PG in the mix, but he's been pretty quiet on offense these days, even without Joel Embiid. I do like Tyrese Maxey to just let that thing fly today. So over 26.5 points for Tyrese Maxey. Let's go. Pumping the brakes the way that we always do. I ask you guys to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think we're going to get 22,000 subscribers by the end of this video. We are flying, boys and girls. So I just wanted to stop to say thank you all. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the comments. I think we had like 500 comments in the last video. I might have got that mixed up with likes, but there was a ton of comments. And honestly, just a lot of this community that we're building here just on YouTube. Absolutely fantastic. Love it to death. You guys have been excellent. Let's keep that train rolling. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below for that algorithm to push us out to more people. You can say absolutely anything. Heck, if you're in VIP, just put in how much money that you've made since you've joined, because I know it'd be a ton. I'm up almost $10,000 myself on the NBA this season. I'd love to know where you guys are at too. Now let's get into some deep dives and some insights. Let's just click through each game and I'll kind of give you my thoughts. Maybe that helps you out with some other bets that you may be thinking of. Let's do it. All right, looking at the Bulls and the Wizards, I think this game has some real prime betting opportunities. The problem for me right now is too many game time decisions that are important, because Zach LaVine's a game time decision, Jordan Poole's a game time decision. So with those two, if we're not sure if they're going to play or not, it makes it awfully difficult to decide on what the bet's going to be. I think Jordan Poole, if he does play, is a great look. One, he has been playing very well as of late, covered this line in 5 straight games. Prime matchup against the Chicago Bulls, who don't play defense, where this guy plays offense. So he's got an excellent matchup here. I get that Kyle Kuzma's back, but he looks a little bit limited. His minutes aren't high. His volume, his usage rate, not sky high either. So I think that also brings into the play the Koulibaly assists, but this has finally moved to 4.5. So maybe that's enough to make me hesitate. But I think Jordan Poole could have a good game in this type of matchup. Bilal could have a good all-round game given the pace of this thing. Josh Giddey could also have a bit. There's a lot of good players that could have a big game here. We just need to determine whether Zach LaVine's going to play or not, Jordan Poole's going to play or not. And if they're not, just use Props Madness and use the filters to filter out how the players have played without the injured person in there. So I think once the lineups are settled in that game, I'll probably get 1 to 2 bets down for sure. Then we have the Orlando Magic versus the Pistons. Now, the Pistons, one of the teams I do like betting on. Challenge is the Orlando Magic. Pretty good defensive team. If I was going to take a look at anyone on the Pistons, I'd probably look at Cade Cunningham points, if I'm being honest with y'all. And that's because the only weak spot for the Orlando Magic defense is they give up free throws, and they're not the best at defending the pick and roll, which is where Cade Cunningham gets his work in. They're the number 1 team in defending spot-up shooters. So Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., I think they all have a difficult night. But Cade Cunningham, he should be able to get some bucket. And Jaden Ivey, potentially him as well, because he does some work out of the pick and roll. So they're the guys that I'd look at. Jaden Ivey at 14.5, it does seem a little bit low. He's hit this line in 70% of games on the season. So that could be an interesting look for you. It's actually lower than my self-esteem. So I think that just at first glance, this looks really good. Look at this. Even similar types of players against the Magic have eaten people alive. And Jaden Ivey's not going to pick up the best defender either. I would assume that is a Cade Cunningham. Yeah, I don't hate this. I don't hate it at all. So I'm going to look into that a little bit further. Played 1 game against the Magic already and scored 19 points, but that was without Cade Cunningham. High volume, only finished on 19. He saw 16 shots. But if we look as of late, even with Cade in the lineup, yeah, he's not going to take 16 shots, which is why the line's a little bit lower. But still, at 14.5, I think I can muck around with that, because I know that all these shooters are going to have a tough matchup. Jalen Duren inside is going to have a tough matchup. Yeah, I think Jaden Ivey could be a play here. Let's add that one. I'm going to take a look. Yeah, you can get this for about minus 110. Let's go. Jaden Ivey. All right. That took my attention. So Jaden Ivey, Kay Cunningham. I think they're the ones who can have a game. Jalen Suggs could have a good game as well. The concern for me with Jalen Suggs is he's had 2 games in the last couple of weeks where he hasn't finished the game. He gets injured midway in 2 different games. One against OKC, one against Brooklyn. He eats it alive in the first quarter and then injured. So I think he could have a big game provided he can play all of it. He's got a great matchup to score some points. If you like hit rates, his hit rate for rebounds is fantastic without Banchero and Franz. But I'm not a hit rate better, so I need something better than that. Utah versus the Knicks. Now, usually the Utah are a great team to bet on. Unfortunately, some of my favorite players don't have the best matchup. Walker Kessler doesn't have a great matchup against Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns, he's got a somewhat difficult matchup as well. I think the risk here is that Jalen Brunson's status is not clear. If Jalen Brunson doesn't play, then Karl Anthony Towns is going to see sky high usage rate, you would assume. So I would wait until we know whether Jalen Brunson is playing or not before we take any bets on this game. And like I said, nothing I'm loving on the Utah side of things. Brooklyn Nets versus the Toronto Raptors. And this even has some game time decisions you need to wait on. For the Raptors, Grady Dick and RJ Barrett, I think they're game time decisions as well. My voice is going. But Scotty Barnes, his assist line's at 7.5 again. Pretty juiced to the under. He's got a pretty decent matchup to get some assists, but if RJ Barrett is out, let me remind you of why we took it last time. Without RJ Barrett, he cannot dime up. He's got no one to pass to, and if Grady's out as well, I think that's going to be a difficult one for Scotty Barnes, but let's wait to see how lineups go when they're confirmed. For Brooklyn, I believe Cam Thomas is out, but it's the return of D'Lo in Brooklyn. So if you're a fan of narratives, maybe you can get on some D'Lo stuff. His line's at 17.5. That's 16.5 in others. That's pretty crazy because we don't know like how many minutes this man's going to play. RotoWire has him projected to play at least 27 minutes. Now, I know this is a completely different team, but I'd like to know what's D'Lo's stats. What's his points production when he plays at least 25? When he plays 25 minutes, he's averaging 14.8 points per game. But again, this is a Brooklyn team that doesn't have many high usage rate players, especially with Cam Thomas not there. You might be able to play. I don't know. This would be gambling at its finest. D'Angelo Russell just got traded. You don't know how long he's going to play, what his role is going to be, how many shots he's going to take. Still looking for a reason to bet it. That's just gambling right there. So I think just sit and wait, just watch D'Lo to see how he performs today. But yeah, wait for the injury news for that Raptors team. Then we got the Pelicans versus the Heat. So I went through DeJounte Murray as well. Yeah, I think Trey Murphy, I wanted to bet on him originally before I found DeJounte Murray and the angle there because he's got a pretty good matchup. 5th most points allowed to spot up shooters in Miami Heat. Trey Murphy's been killing it as of late. This 18 points he had against the Clippers, he had 18 points by the third quarter. He just didn't shoot the ball after that. And partly that's because CJ McCollum went crazy. He's had 30 plus points in 2 consecutive games now. Yeah, he can probably do some work today on the spot up shooting side of things, CJ. So I was a little bit hesitant to determine who I was going to bet on. Was it CJ? Was it Trey Murphy? Then I obviously found that look for DeJounte Murray. So I do like CJ to score. I do like Trey to score, but I'm going to roll with DJ. And then we've got the Miami Heat side of things. Great matchup here against the Pelicans, who are soft as hell. Jimmy Butler looks like he's back, which makes it even more difficult. Who's going to produce here? Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. They're your real 3 options. I think a lot of them can have a great statistical game. Bam has a fantastic matchup, but my God, he can disappoint you. He's been, like in terms of statistics and for betting purposes, he's difficult as hell to bet on because he doesn't perform as well as he could. Quite unselfish in the fact. So that could be difficult. Tyler Hero, how does he feel after being roughed up against Houston? I don't know, but he could have a good rebounding and assisting type of game. That Miami Heat team, I just stay away from them, to be honest. Then we got the Mavs versus the Rockets, and I had a couple of interesting looks in this one. Obviously, there's no Luka in the lineup, but we do have Derek Lively, who's a game time decision as well. I already know this Houston Rockets defense. Pretty much, they'll want you to play one-on-one. They're not going to let you get a whole lot of assists. So my first thought process: what if we take a look at Kyrie's points? Now, Kyrie scoring in the pick and roll and scoring in isolation. That's 42% of his points right there. This Houston Rockets team, they rank pretty low in that area. So I think Kyrie could have a strong game. It's just at 27.5. It's a pretty high line for Kyrie, and that's because Kyrie doesn't get to the free throw line at all. We take a look at how he scores, play type analysis. Free throws is at 3.3 free throws per game. And if you think about the usage rate, how often he has it, how many shots he takes, he doesn't get to the free throw line at all. If he did get to the free throw line like a lot of the other guys and bait some fouls, then yeah, I think I could take this line confidently. But yeah, you saw it in that Portland game, actually. It was aggressive as he got to the free throw line 9 times. For the most part, he doesn't get there. I do like Kyrie to score, but I think the pivot could be taking a Kyrie under an assist. But that line's at 5.5. 6.5 would have been great against this Houston Rockets team, who doesn't allow many assists at all. So those are just leans for me right now. And it probably still happens, but we'll see how we go. Spencer Dinwiddie, very much the same. They're going to get Spencer to play them one-on-one, get them to score. They're going to try to limit his assists. What's his assist line? He's at 5.5 as well. So, yeah, similar types of looks. And if your guards are predominantly forced to score, then that means someone like a Klay Thompson is going to struggle to score here. So I did consider an under for Klay Thompson. Let's look at his games without Luka Doncic. Check this out. Without Luka, 11.6 points per game, 28% hit rate on the season. Obviously, Klay scoring a lot from the spot up. The Rockets allow the second fewest points to spot up shooters in the league. So an awful matchup here for Klay Thompson and his fake-ass goatee. I would lean to the under for sure. 15.5 got me a little bit on the fence about it. And being honest with you guys, I don't like betting on unders that much. So trying to avoid that as much as I possibly can, although I do like Klay Thompson to go under today. And then look at the Houston Rockets. I think Şengün rebounds. I think that's an excellent look. The hit rate's not great on it, but the matchup against Dallas is a fantastic one. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, they both contest every shot possible at the rim. Alperen Şengün should be able to get some offensive rebound opportunities here whenever they drive the ball. And on the defensive side of things as well, the Dallas Mavericks don't necessarily crash the offensive glass too well either. So good matchup here for Şengün. He should be able to get boards. Nothing on the guard side of thing that caught my attention. Then we have the Hawks versus the Nuggets. Now, Nikola Jokic is an absolute freak. I'm just out of curiosity, what did he do last time in Atlanta? Well, there we go. 48 points, 17 from 29. No Jamal Murray in that game. So he had 48 points, 8 assists, and 14 rebounds. Unbelievable. So 70 points, rebounds, and assists in that game for Nikola Jokic. He's covered his PRA in 3 consecutive games. The spread's 5.5 points, so we could see another high usage Jokic in this one. Your options are either take Nikola Jokic for a triple-double. You're probably not going to get great odds for it. I think my thinking here is just to take him for rebounds. 12.5 rebounds doesn't seem very high. It's 12.5 everywhere. I think that might be it's like a pretty straightforward Jokic play. He hits his 60% of the time. He had 14 rebounds against them last time. He only played 35 minutes in a blowout blowout win. So if this game's a little bit closer, maybe he does play more than 35. He played 38 minutes against Utah. Let's take a look at Nikola Jokic when he plays at least 35 minutes this season. 15 out of 23, a 65% hit rate. Atlanta, 15th most rebounds allowed. Look, I don't hate that bet, but I do have quite a few bets down already. So Nikola Jokic should be able to get boards. Michael Porter Jr. should be able to keep scoring, right? He's got a great matchup to score some points. His line's at 18.5, which is always a little bit risky. He did score 26 points against the Atlanta Hawks last time, 12 from 17, so a very efficient night for him. But yeah, Michael Porter Jr. should be able to get buckets here. If we look at his games, because there's no Aaron Gordon in this one, MPJ without Aaron Gordon over this line in 8 out of 14, averaging 19.6. I think if we look at the games where he's had a pretty soft matchup without Aaron Gordon, 50% hit rate, but maybe a bitch-ass parlays. I'll probably do a bitch-ass parlay for today. There's quite a few looks that I do like that I'm not willing to bet a full unit on. Might be a bitch-ass parlay time. So for those of you on the free winnable section, I'll get the bitch-ass parlay out for you. Another one is going to be Christian Braun. There's his hit rate without Aaron Gordon. His line's at 12.5 and moving. So I took this last game. That was sweat-free, 20 points against Utah. This is purely a hit rate bettor's dream. Matchup-wise, it's okay. But there are other players with better matchups against the Atlanta Hawks, but I get it. This would be a popular play. If you see people betting on Christian Braun today, any cappers, your hit rate legends right there. But yeah, I don't mind it. I get it. But matchup-wise and play style, there's nothing in the data that tells you this is a good play apart from the hit rate. And then we've got Russell Westbrook. Westbrook's going to have a big game today, I assume. But is it going to be points? Is it going to be rebounds? Is it going to be assists? I do not know. You might want to consider taking a look at his PRA. And then for this Atlanta Hawks team, we've gone through Trae Young to get some assists. That means you've got to look at your DeAndre Hunters or your Jalen Johnsons to get points. DeAndre Hunter's line's at 19.5. He's got a great matchup to score some points here. So he could definitely get it done. The line's at 20.5 in some places. So 19.5 is only on Prize Picks and DraftKings. So that could be an interesting look. Jalen Johnson, he could do it all, to be honest. This should be a high-paced matchup. Both teams play very quickly, so he could get a lot of rebounds, could get a lot of assists. I don't know which one it's going to be, but he can definitely get a lot of something. So Jalen Johnson could be a good look for you. You probably can't go wrong. I think this is a good game to bet on. So if you really had to lock in and focus on some games today, if you want to do some same game parlays, I think that Hawks and Nuggets game looks like money. That Bulls and Wizards game, I think that looks like money once the lineups are confirmed. Those are the two games where you can see some absurd numbers. 76ers versus the Kings. I got no idea what's happening with the Kings right now. I do know one thing though, that Domantas Sabonis, his rebound line is crazy. 15.5 at the moment. It seems really high. Looking at his PRA, it's at 40.5. He's got an excellent matchup to score some points, though, against Philly with no Joel Embiid. The problem is Sabonis hasn't been scoring very well as of late. He does fit into the bitch-ass parlay mold, where he's pretty consistent, just not good enough to get the full line, so bookies might be really sharp on whatever he's doing. The Philadelphia 76ers do make it difficult to bet on when they're playing, because the amount of injuries and the people who are being injured for them changes things a lot. Like, you can't even look at the matchups. You can't even say Philly aren't good at this defensively, because they might be different with Joel Embiid in or out of the lineup. So it does make it difficult. I tend to stay away when they're playing. It's too much uncertainty when it comes to that damn team. But that's all I've got for you today. This video has kept me up late at night, but I just wanted to say thank you for everything. The support has been amazing. Hope you guys love the picks. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to check out BETR and BOOM so you can jump into that giveaway, but also get access to my VIP picks for a month. But if you're serious about this and you bet every single day and you want to bet with volume and you have traditional sportsbook at your disposal, then my season pass is the way to go. Go ahead and check it out. 25% off if you use the code 2025. Pretty much, I run a lot of straight bets. I pretty much bet what I see. If I see a number that I like it, I just bet it. I also have value plays, which are different sets of parlays focused on individual players. We do combos where we combo those things together to get insane profit. We run high-value single plays. If I think a player is going to score 30, but their line's at 20, I'm betting them for 20, 25, and 30. It's not often where I bet on a player and then I think, damn, I wish I would have bet more on them. Like, you'll see that all of that if you join that VIP. But once again, there's no pressure to. If that's not your thing, don't even bother. I'm going to be doing free picks on YouTube like this, insights, more value than you're going to find anywhere else anyway. There's a lot of value in the YouTube channel. The VIP stuff is just for hardcore bettors, if I'm being honest with you guys. So I'll leave that up to you whether you decide to join me. But I do wish you guys the best of luck. Have a wonderful year. Be sure to let me know in the comment section what you'd like to achieve this year. Catch you in the next one. Peace!
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.